Daily Trust News Center. This is the News Hour.
Tonight on News Hour, over 8,000 persons displaced in Niger State following NAV airstrike. More reactions trail New Naira notes deadline as President Buhari vows to eliminate chaos in policy. Again, Independent National Electoral Commission extends permanent voter cards collection deadline to February 5. Away from Nigeria, Mali armed group pulls out of Constitution Commission. Hello and welcome to the News Hour on Trust Television. I am Ayuba Ilya. Here's the details. Over 8,000 persons were displaced from Galadima, Kogo and its environs in Shiroro local government area of Niger State following the alleged bombing of the area by an aircraft on the 24th of January. Many members of a vigilante group and their commanders were allegedly killed in the blast, while the area bombed housed internally displaced persons taking refuge at some facilities at the time of the bombing. Secretary to Niger State Government Ahmed Matani alleged in Mina on Saturday that it was not a mysterious aircraft that allegedly dropped the bombs, but insisted the aircraft belonged to the Nigerian Air Force. He said government was also aware of the presence of IDPs in the area. We spoke earlier with Daily Trust correspondent in Niger State, Abubakar Akote, who gave an update on the incident.
Last Tuesday, there was an airstrike in Galadima, Kogo, Shiro local government area of Niger State, where sources say due to miscommunication between the vigilantes on ground and then the air operators, a bomb was released at the center of vigilantes who have been protecting the community from attacks, and then a team of vigilantes died on the spot. 9 others are still at IBB specialist hospital receiving treatment. And following the incident, other vigilantes and other security operatives in the area have left, and then more people have been displaced because residents have left with the fear that these are the people they rely on protecting them all this while, and now that this incident has happened, many of them have died and others have left, they will no longer be safe. So it has increased the tension, and more people have been displaced right now in Zumba. Over 8,000 residents have been displaced. Right now they are in Zumba, some are in Badawa, some are in Buta, where some have headed to Mina to stay with their relations. So the airstrike has heightened the security situation in the area, leading to displacement of more people. Before the incident, there were special hunters who have taken charge of security in Galadima, Kogo and the other adjoining areas as part of Munya local government. So they were there permanently, but the last attack that came with the airstrike shocked many residents because they believe there should be a kind of collaboration between the Air Force personnel and then the other forces on ground. But no explanation has been given to what actually caused the strike at that moment. Although the incident was said to have happened, no vigilantes were informed of movements of bandits towards Shiroro and Munya, and they were preparing to lay ambush on the bandits as they stepped towards Shiroro. And then at that moment, the Air Force struck and then released bomb. Many people, sources said, the Air Force assumed the people were bandits. But on the side of vigilantes, they felt it was a negligence. Because that's what the residents say. They describe the situation as negligence. But up to now, Air Force has not come out to give any official statement as regards to what actually happened.
President Muhammadu Buhari on Saturday assured that government will ensure that citizens are unharmed in their businesses and no disruption is caused to the entire supply chain arising from the currency swap due to end shortly on Tuesday. reacting to reports of long queues of people waiting for hours for their turn to deposit old notes and get new ones, triggering public anger and opposition's criticism. President Buhari reiterated that the currency changes were aimed at people hoarding illicit funds and not the common man. The president, in a statement by his senior special assistant on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, noted that it had become necessary to prevent counterfeit, corruption and terrorist funding, adding that the policy will stabilize and strengthen the economy, while taking note that the poorest section of the society is facing hardship as they often keep hard cash at home for various expenses. President Buhari gave strong assurances that the government will not leave them to their own fate. He assured that a number of initiatives by the Central Bank of Nigeria and all commercial banks are on the way to speed up distribution of the new notes and do all that is necessary to forestall cash squeeze and chaos. Kano State Governor Abdullahi Ganduje has asked President Muhammadu Buhari to postpone his official visit to the state. Ganduje made the request because of the Central Bank of Nigeria's Naira redesign policy, according to a statement released on Saturday by his Chief Press Secretary, Abba Anwar. Now, the statement said that Ganduje, who disclosed the development to academics, lawmakers, political figures, and members of the business community at the Kano State Government House on Friday, added that the decision to seek the postponement of the visit was taken to avoid any unanticipated circumstances, the statement explained. The governor claimed that it was difficult to conduct business even with the point of sale, adding that many people have closed their shops over the uncertain situation. The governor also called for an extension of the deadline for returning old Naira notes. In a similar vein, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, has called for a slight extension to the January 31st deadline given by the Central Bank of Nigeria for the swapping of the old Naira notes for the new ones in the nation's commercial banks. Atiku said the pain caused by this action is one not intended for the initiative. The former vice president, in a video titled "My Position on the CBN January 31st Deadline on the New Naira Notes" on his verified social media handles, expressed his view on the challenges faced by Nigerians in meeting up with the deadline announced by the country's Apex Bank. While applauding the monetary conversion policy as a worldwide practice, Atiku stressed that the deadline is unfit and should be slightly adjusted.
On this note, I am compelled to align my position with the upsurge of demands for a slight extension of the monetary conversion policy. The January 31st deadline is certainly going to cause heavy discomfort on our people, and it will be magnanimous on the part of government and the regulatory agency to ease the burden on the people in the public interest. While we can continue with sensitizing the public on the impending imperative of mobile banking policy, it is important for the CBN to consider an extension of the time that the public can convert their unbanked monies into new notes, thereby reducing the financial consequences on these vulnerable citizens. I believe that such a painful experience is not the intention behind the currency redesign initiative.
Still on the new currency, the effect of the shortage in supply of the Naira notes is hitting hard on Katsina residents in the last few days. Many small-scale businesses and petty traders, which are the mainstay of many residents, are either at the verge of collapsing or have completely collapsed following the non-availability of the notes for transactions. Abdullahi Amadi spoke with some business owners who narrate their ordeal and how they are struggling to survive the hardship. The report.
These Katsina residents described the long queues at various commercial banks as pathetic and injurious to the economy of the state. Apart from other residents who besieged ATM points for the cash, the Katsina state government a few days back paid January salary to its workers, a situation that further compounds the long queues of customers trying to access the new currency. These queues are visible at various ATM points, banking halls, and POS outlets across the state. Some of these customers spend long hours waiting in futility as they return without cash.
You can only withdraw 20,000 per day. So there's so many people, they want to use the money, but the money, they are not enough for us. So we beg the government in order to assist us because we are too hard to get money that we're going to use in our family issue.
So we have been here for more than at least 10 hours. We are here and they are not yet even cashing the money up to now. And the money they are not up to enough.
Many POS operators have temporarily closed down for fear of collecting old notes and not being able to swap them for the new ones. The story remains the same at some local animals on other general goods markets, as many dealers and prospective buyers look stranded, exhausted, and disappointed. At a point, some business owners and buyers resorted to trade by barter in order to meet their needs. People are coming to the market with old notes, which we cannot accept because of the deadline by the Apex Bank. Some customers that are really in need come to the market with something in exchange of another. For instance, someone brought bags of maize and collected a ram. Meanwhile, the Central Bank of Nigeria has deployed 150 registered agents to the 34 local government areas of Katsina State to ease the difficulties being faced by residents in swapping the new currency. This was announced by the Director Currency Operations of the Nigeria's Apex Bank, Ahmed Bello Umar, during a press briefing in Katsina.
As of today, there is no new directive on the extension. The deadline still remains 31st January 2023. So we advise people to adhere to the deadline and deposit their money. They should prioritize depositing their old currency notes into the banks so that they can always withdraw the new notes. Even if they don't have the opportunity now, they will be able to use the notes when they are available.
Although experts are saying the policy is good for the economy of the nation, many Nigerians are, however, hopeful that the CBN will further extend the deadline to enable them exchange the old for the new. Abdullahi Izumayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
In a related development, residents of Kaduna Metropolis are besieging ATM points in the state to withdraw the redesigned Naira notes before the expiration of the January 31 deadline. The residents are expressing dismay over the scarcity of the currency and the hardship that they encounter while trying to withdraw money at the ATM. Though they say that many ATMs are dispensing the redesigned Naira notes, they however say that the machines are doing so at a slow pace. The report.
The Central Bank of Nigeria introduced cash swap at the market and other public places, and also directed commercial banks to dispense the new notes to customers in order to meet up with the January 31st deadline. Residents who besieged ATM's point in Kaduna Metropolis to get the redesigned Naira note before the deadline elapsed are concerned that the policy will not end well for many Nigerians.
I came here about some minutes to 9 o'clock, and this is 11 minutes after 12 right now. So it's been like stressful all through, but I've gotten the money so far. And again, while withdrawing, sometimes the machine will go off, that the time is out and whatever the challenge is. So that's it.
I
am thankful to God because I was able to withdraw the new notes from the ATM, but there is a long queue.
For POS operators, the introduction of the cash swap by the Central Bank of Nigeria is a sigh of relief to many, especially those at the rural areas.
In cash swapping, you are swapping money from your customer, any customer that comes to your location. as you need to swap. You can collect the money, he come to swap for you. If a person brings 20,000, you can swap him 10,000.
This swaps means when customer comes to you, those that has no account, maybe they wanted to change their money from old notes to new notes, then they will give us a maximum of 10,000 we swap for a person. So
the Central Bank of Nigeria, while restating its commitment to ensuring that nobody loses money to the policy, maintained that the affected notes are still legal tender till January 31st.
Well, we went around all the major markets and we make it known to the people that this is a legal tender up to 31st of this month. So it's legal tender, people can transact businesses with it, and there's no need for the rejection of the old bills. They will be operating side by side with the new ones.
So what this is a follow-up to our last week visit. It's actually a mop-up operation. We have come, there is a circular that was released for us to do cash swap with a lot of people on the streets, people that don't have accounts or people that have some small businesses. So these are the people that need some cash with them, so we have an arrangement with some of the banks, which management has approved that, we go and reach out to them through the agent banking.
Though Central Bank of Nigeria maintained its position of no going back on the deadline, people are still calling for an extension to enable them swap their old notes for the new notes. Bella Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
As the deadline for the phasing out of the 1,500 and 200 Naira notes draw nearer, Makurdi residents say that the inadequacy of the new notes in circulation leaves much to be desired. To this end, they have joined many other Nigerians to appeal for an extension of the deadline by the Central Bank of Nigeria. The report.
By 1st February 2023, Nigerians will come to terms with the fact that the old 200, 500 and 1,000 Naira notes have truly become a thing of the past. Makurdi residents appreciated the Apex Bank for the policy, but lamented some of the realities associated with its implementation.
What we actually need is the value for our currency. Let our currency have value, because if our currency have value, I believe it will be of more importance to the poor masses out there. It is not just a change in the Naira note in terms of color or anything. However, people are saying the old currency look more beautiful, more nice, but it is not the beauty we are talking about here, but we are trying to look at the value to which this money can work out there at the national.
In the past 1 week, fuel scarcity and Naira scarcity have continued to dominate group discussions. They alleged that the insufficiency of the Naira notes have led to buying and selling the redesigned notes.
The change in the currency has a negative effect on the rural dwellers because of the poor access they have to the banking sectors. Exchanging the money is actually posing difficulty to them because they don't have access to banking sectors, and as a result, their trading activities also is experiencing a decline. You agree with me that the economic activity is on a standstill. People are no longer doing business as they ought to do because they are afraid that if they collect these old notes, where would they deposit it? How would they make use of it? You see, and they would want to have this money in their house for it to become a waste. So the poor access of the rural dwellers to the new note has actually caused a decline in economic activities.
The residents urged the CBN to extend the deadline and provide for adequate circulation before phasing out the old ones.
The old Naira notes are made not to be in use just because of time frame. I think we are going to lose a lot of money, which would have helped in carrying out so many economic activities, because there are some of these people that has the money but cannot reach the central bank, particularly the central bank government should consider the request made by the reps to extend the time frame which they have set for the collection of the old Naira notes.
Some business operators have begun rejecting the old ones. Most POS points visited the state capital also declined collecting the
Now, Nigerians might have to pay extra when withdrawing the new Naira notes from POS operators. The operators say that they have added the extra charge because of how difficult it has been to get the new note. Take a look.
For 5,000 they charge 100 naira. For 10,000 they charge 200 naira. But if you want new notes, for 5,000 they charge 200. For 10,000, some people they are collecting 500 for 10,000. Because if you want to get the new notes, you have to go to bank. When you go to the bank, and only 20k you can withdraw per day. That is why they charge this amount, because to get it is hard.
This is Yunusa, a POS operator who says he will keep accepting the old notes till 2 p.m. on January the 31st.
Up to tomorrow, when he brought the old naira, I will just collect it. So I will stop it by Monday around 2. I will stop collecting because I will just walk to the bank.
Okay, so all the time you've been going to the bank, you've been accepting the money from you?
Yeah.
Have you encountered any challenge in accessing the bank?
If you want to withdraw that, you can first challenge there because they are not giving you cash on the counter until 31st.
He also says he hasn't experienced any challenge depositing his old notes.
Deposit, they can accept the money. There is no any challenges for deposit. Even when you carry like a 20 trillion, they will collect it.
In the meantime, the Nigerian Bar Association says that the Central Bank of Nigeria is under statutory obligation to redeem the old 200, 500 and 1,000 Naira notes after the January 31 deadline. But the NBA President, Yakubu Maikel, SAN, in a letter addressed to the CBN Governor, Godwin Emefiele, insisted that the law allows Nigerians to redeem their old Naira notes at the CBN. According to a statement by the NBA's National Publicity Secretary, Korede Lawal, on Saturday, Maikel expressed what he described as telling concerns about the fate of Nigerians with old currency after the January 31, 2023 deadline, saying that the law is clear on the issue. He cited the provisions of Section 23 of the CBN Act, which he said provides that the CBN can call in any of its notes or coins even after the expiration of the notice that the said coin or notes upon demand. The NBA president noted that any person who shall be in possession of the old notes which have ceased to be legal tender by 31 January 2023 is at liberty to approach the CBN and demand for the redemption of the notes, and the CBN is under statutory obligation to redeem the notes. The Northern Elders Forum, NEF, says that the Naira redesign policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria is strangulating Nigeria's economy. Now, the NEF urged the CBN to revisit and postpone the deadline for the swap of the redesigned Naira denominations. A statement by the forum's Director of Publicity and Advocacy, Hakeem Baba Ahmed, said that the currency swap has not worked as planned. The CBN had announced January 31 as the deadline to phase out the old denominations of 200, 500 and 1,000 Naira notes. Despite agitations and anger from Nigerian, CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele had insisted that the deadline was sacrosanct. You're watching the News Hour on Trust Television. Coming up shortly, we'll take a look at Hazard journalist face. Details of this and more after the break.
At last, the elections are here. Let's turn out en masse on election day and vote Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as President of Nigeria for a renewed hope and a better Nigeria. Vote APC, the party that shows a broom.
Media Trust Group, in collaboration with the Center for Democracy and Development, presents the 2023 Kano gubernatorial debate, featuring candidates of 4 major political parties: Nasir Yusuf Gawuna of the APC, Bashir Ishaq Bashir of the Labour Party, Abba Kabir Yusuf of the NMPP, and Muhammad Abacha of the PDP. Date: Saturday, 4th February 2023. Time: 10 a.m. Venue: Bayer University Kano New Site. The event is strictly by invitation and no political supporters are expected at the venue. Media partners: Express Radio 90.3 FM, Nasara Radio 98.5 FM, Freedom Radio, and ARTV Kano. The debate will be broadcast live on Trust TV and other channels across the country.
Nigerians, elections are here again. Let us shun violence. Let us play the game according to the rules. Do not be a thug. Say no to violence. Let's rise and defeat violence, crime, and sabotage against the peace of our nation. Nigeria is the only country we have. We must do everything to keep it united. We must avoid any act that promotes hate and disintegration. Say no to separatist movement, terrorism, fake news, hate speech, religious bigotry, and any act that tends to divide us as a nation. Watch out for strange gatherings and suspicious movements. Restrict access to sensitive documents and data, the disclosure of which may damage national security. Educate your staff and family, particularly on measures to safeguard information and report security breaches. Apply relevant legal security guidelines to protect yourself and your neighbors. Due to misinformation and wrong choices, some idle persons resort to vices in their greed to get rich quick. They resort to kidnapping, killings for rituals, and other heinous crimes. Avoid wrong use of the social media. Before you broadcast that false message, think twice. Ask whether it will promote peace or violence. For safety at home, still be security conscious. Educate your household on safety tips. Report all suspicious movements and persons to the security agencies nearest to you. Be a good citizen. Be patriotic. To pass security information, please call 0813-222-2105, 0915-339-1309, 0908-837-3514, or send a mail to dsspr@dss.gov.ng. This message is from the Department of State Services, DSS.
Welcome back from that break. You're watching the News Hour on Trust Television. Let's take a look at the main stories again. Over 8,000 persons displaced in Niger State following NAF airstrike. More reactions trail new Naira notes deadline as President Buhari vows to eliminate chaos in policy. Now, moving on to security matters. The Independent National Electoral Commission has again extended the deadline for the collection of the permanent voter cards to February 5th, 2023. Annex Commissioner for Information and Voter Education, Festus Okoye, said the latest extension followed a meeting of INEC resident electoral commissioners, and he encouraged Nigerians who are yet to pick their PVCs to do so, saying it is encouraged by the progress made so far in that regard. INEC therefore called on Nigerians to report sharp practices in PVC collection centers, assuring that the Commission will act on them. Some major roads in Osogbo and Ilesha were on Saturday blocked by protesters said to be displeased with the decision of the Election Petition Tribunal that sacked Senator Ademola Adeleke as governor. The protesters, who prevented the vehicular movement along Osogbo-Ikirun Road, also blocked the Oshogbo Road to traffic and beat up many commercial motorcyclists that were operating in the town. At Igbona area, the convoy of the State Police Commissioner, Kehinde Longe, was stopped by some people believed to be members of the Transport Management Committee. An eyewitness who witnessed the incident said that operatives that were in the convoy of the CP later cleared the barricade and moved on. When contacted for a reaction, Osun Police Command spokesperson Yemisi Opalola said more men have been deployed to the identified spots where roads were blocked to traffic, adding that the situation is under control. The presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has assured Zamfara indigents that he will focus on agricultural and mining sectors to develop the state economically if elected in the forthcoming election. According to him, the development of the sectors will create more jobs opportunities that will reduce the rate of crime bedeviling the state. Tinubu disclosed this during his campaign rally at the Trade Fair Complex in Gusau, the state capital, saying that despite what he termed the sabotage, APC will emerge victorious in all elections. He further stated that he was not in Zamfara to campaign, but to say a big thank you to the people because of their massive support to the party since Nigeria returned to democracy in 1999. Still on political matters, the Labour Party's presidential candidate Peter Obi has promised to rejig the security architecture, support education and end poverty if elected into office in next month's election. Obi made the promise during the party's rally in Maiduguri. Beatrice Kuruzi has more.
It's a huge crowd of the Obi Dati supporters at the Ramat Square in Maiduguri as the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, and his running mate stormed Borno State for their campaign rally. The presidential candidate and his vice came along with party leaders and other aspirants to woo the people to get their PVC and vote the Obi Dati ticket.
The umbrella we voted was leaking. So we don't know where we are. A group of people came up and said they promise us change. We don't know that, and they came with a broom. So they sweep everything, and now we found ourselves here today.
It's almost 9 years. Chibok girls, some of them are still in captivity. There are a lot of women that have been in captivity. A lot of children, a lot of adults are in captivity. And Mr. Peter Obi have said something always. As long as one Nigerian is in captivity, we all are in captivity.
What reasonable people should do is to effect a change. And by the grace of God, next month's election has given Borno people another opportunity to take their destiny in their hands.
The party's presidential flag bearer says he's saddened by the lack that is prevalent in the state, despite having a vast land that is arable enough to boost agriculture. He added that he will end poverty and the menace of out-of-school children in the north if elected. Obi enjoined Nigerians to vote character and competence, assuring that his presidency is willing to rebuild Nigeria.
And that is what I intend is offering. We've said we will secure and unite Nigeria. The enemies are not more formidable. The criminals are not more formidable. It is lack of leadership and lack of support for those people who put on the front line. We will put the children of the North out of poverty. Our government will be celebrated in the North.
23 elections, which is slated for February 25th, will determine if the Labour Party will clinch enough votes from Borno State and indeed across Nigeria to enable it fulfill its lofty ideals for the nation.
Engineers are working round the clock on the Abuja-bound train which derailed around Kubwa railway station on Friday to ensure that services on the route are restored. The train, which arrived at the station around 3:25 p.m., has led to the cancellation of the Abuja-Kaduna train services indefinitely, pending the completion of the repair. It was gathered that the repair work started as early as 6 a.m. and is expected to go on over the night. Some engineers who craved anonymity revealed that while work on the rail platform and some of the affected cargoes went smoothly, that of lifting the locomotive could not be effected as the train's crane deployed there has itself developed a mechanical fault. Meanwhile, the managing director of the Nigeria Railway Corporation, NRC, Fidet Okiria, visited the site in the evening and was briefed on the progress of work. He, however, declined comments. The Association of Resident Doctors of Nnamdi Azikiwe University Teaching Hospital, Nnewi, Anambra State, has called off its 5-day warning strike over assault of its member, allegedly by patients' families. Now, this is contained in a statement signed by the group's president, Chinwe Ndukwe, and General Secretary Egwe Obiora, and made available to journalists in Awka on Saturday. The doctors embarked on a 5-day warning strike on Wednesday to express their displeasure over the assault allegedly meted out to one of its members by a deceased patient's relatives. It stated that the body resolved to suspend the strike following the hospital management's commitment to fulfill all the demands outlined by the association. The association resumed emergency services by 8 a.m. on Saturday, while routine clinic services and activities are set to resume by Monday, January 30. Now, Nigerians are coming to terms with the reality that every citizen must possess the National Identification Number, NIN. Jimmy Azande visited the National Identity Management Office in Makurdi, from where he files in this report.
Every Nigerian, irrespective of age, is required to register for the National Identification Number. Those who have registered or who have errors in their registration have to contend with the challenges of not having the important number. Many of these residents who were waiting for the staff of the NIMS are living with that reality.
National Identity Card is something compulsory for all citizens. So to me, if you are a citizen of Nigeria, you're supposed to have your National Identity Card so that you will be able to do everything the country is doing, to be on the highest level of the country's ambition.
Having the national identity card is one of the basic things, since we don't have any other ID card to show where we are coming from, like talking of Nigeria as a state, in a governmental perspective.
National identity card is a legal proof of a citizenship of, in this time, Nigeria. We ought to have national identity card. It has a lot of there are a lot of reasons for us to have national identity card.
They say Nigerians should not wait for demands before they enroll for the NIN, which has become mandatory.
Have your national identity card. Go now, like right now. Go and do so. Have your national identity card.
Still, I encourage people and the masses who are not yet to obtain their national ID card to go out there, no matter how the key, no matter how the challenges they are facing, they should also struggle to have the national ID card, because it's kind of very sensible and sensitive to
your right or access to some things might be restricted till you have to prove your national identity card. So we all need to, as citizens of a country, we all need to acquire this national identity card in order to have access without restrictions.
Job applications, scholarships and bank verifications now require the national identification number. It has quickly become a necessity. Some of the residents said certain opportunities have slipped by them, either because they do not have the NIN or because of errors in their enrollment.
In Nigeria's patrilineal family structure, sons are more often than not given certain leverages and opportunities than the daughters. This makes parents to consider the sons as insurance for their parents, as they are believed to be the ones who will likely look after them, continue the family name and business after the daughters have been married away to other families. In this report, Salis Lawan takes a look at gender preferences in the Nigerian families.
Actually, that is the reality.
men are more than female in reality. But what is happening there, some of the social places, if you go there, you see more women, more female than male. You may think that it's just female are more than male, but actually it is not.
In some part of Nigeria, the birth of a son ushers in unprecedented celebrations in the family when compared to the birth of a daughter. Based on some cultures, it is believed that woman's name is not entrenched in her husband's home until she has given birth to a male child. This put pressure on female spouses to give birth to male children, even when they have girls. From this analogy, one will ordinarily feel there should be more males than females in a society like this. But this is the case.
Yes, it's true that women are greater in number than men. Reasons as follows, where I can say and I can back my statements. One, if you happen to go to hospital today, you see the number of females, they're more greater, 3 times than that of men. If you happen to go to market, the same thing. If you happen to go to FCE, the same thing. If you happen to go to State Polytechnic here, the same thing. So which shows that the number of female is greater than that of men.
What I see and what I discover is female are more useful to the family or any other place, because when you see birth rate or daughters that graduate from universities and any other higher institutions, they take more care of their parents than the male.
They said in some cultures, repeated birth of female children causes marital disharmony, divorce, and in some cases, polygamy.
Actually, psychologically, it will affect through mental effect, through emotional, and even stress, anxiety. Because most of the parents now, if their wife is being given birth and they say that what did they get? Female. Psychologically, it affects them because all their ambition is just to get a male.
Women who repeatedly give birth to females are more likely to have frequent maternity visits in an attempt to bear a son. This has led many into serious health conditions and also raised family sizes beyond the capacity of the parent. From Yola, Silas Lawan, Trust TV News.
Journalists face hazards in the course of doing their jobs. While some are harassed and intimidated, others get killed or maimed. In this report, Hafiz Hanafi highlights plights of families of slain journalists seeking for justice.
Mrs. Bose Onifade is the mother of Pelumi Onifade, the late journalist with Gua TV, who was reportedly shot dead by men of the Lagos State Task Force during the EndSARS protest in October 2020. The 20-year-old young man was said to be interviewing a trader whose shop was looted in the Abattoir area of the state when it was gunned down by the police team raiding the neighborhood.
The day he went to go and do work and interview some people at the Abattoir area, what I heard that they arrest him. I didn't know that they shot him. Is that day they said that he run when he sees task force and the police people when they are coming down from their bus. The place he run to is there. They went to go and meet him and shot it with gun.
More than 2 years after, the grief is still fresh in the family. Aside from the uncertainties of getting justice, the bereaved mother is worried Pelumi has not been buried as the state government is yet to release his corpse.
Their panel at Lekki, if they call his name and EndSARS panel, they will call his name there, we will know that our case is there. Since that when we went there, they didn't answer us. We didn't see anything. Before they will close on last year, we see that they didn't talk about it again. They said that we should go. EndSARS case have closed from there. Since that time, we didn't hear anything about him. To release the cuff, they didn't give us. We didn't hear anything about Pelumi again.
As the first child, every member of the family looked up to Pelumi who was a mass communication student at Tai Solarin University in Ogun State, as that young, promising man who would liberate the family from the shackles of poverty.
Every day, if I remember Dick Pelumi, it's a big sorrow to me because I didn't have son again. His only guest is a sister. Because I know that if Pelumi is alive, I know that my life will change more than this.
While expressing doubt that she may not get justice, the bereaved mother appealed for the release of her son's corpse.
Time now for us to take a short breather, and then when we return, the news hour continues. This is Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Ba a iya sutura da abinci jin daɗin duniyar mu ya ƙare. Za ka iya more rayuwarka da kayan alfarma na kamfanin Vento Furniture kamar su Ladi Corner Sets, Escape Sofa Sets, Acadia Sofa, Piano Sofa Sets, Sofa Corner Sets, Vento Sofa Sets. Sannan kuma za ku iya saka ƙayatattun gadaje na alfarma a ɗakunan kamar su Gold Cream Bedroom Sets, ko kuma ku wadata falon ku da kujeru na alfarma irin su Sare Royal Set da Acadia Dining Sets. Ofishoshinku kuwa za ku iya saka manya-manyan kujeru na kece raini domin walwala da jin daɗin ku da abokan hulɗa. Kamfanin Vento Furniture ya tanadar muku gadajen bacci na yara masu inganci, kayan ɗaki irin na angwaye da amare har ma da sarakuna. Muna da shagunan mu a gurare kamar haka: 79 Allen Avenue, Ikeja, Lagos; 7A Azikiwe Road, Port Harcourt; 25 Glover Road, Ikoyi, Lagos; Shop U1 Jabi Lake Mall, Abuja; da kuma 4330 Walker Road, Windsor, Ontario ga mazauna ƙasar Canada. Vento Furniture, mun zagaye ko'ina.
Welcome back to the News Hour on Trust Television. Time for us to take a look at business updates presented by Chiamaka Nwafo.
Moody's Investor Service has cut Nigeria's credit ratings further into the non-investment grade category, popularly known as junk, just over 3 months after its last downgrade. The Global Credit Agency cut the Nigerian government's long-term foreign currency and local currency issuer ratings, as well as its foreign currency senior unsecured debt ratings, to CAA1 from B3 and changed the outlook to stable. According to Moody's, obligations rated CAA are judged to be speculative, of poor standing, and are subject to very high credit risk. Moody's has also downgraded Nigeria's foreign currency senior unsecured medium-term note program rating to PCAA1 from PB3. The latest rating action makes it harder for the country to tap international markets for funds. Moody's had in October last year downgraded the ratings of Africa's biggest economy to B3 from B2 and placed them on review for downgrade. The 2022 floods in various parts of Nigeria led to an estimated economic loss of $9.12 billion, an equivalent of 4.2 trillion naira, as at Friday's official exchange rate of 460 naira 78 kaba to the dollar. The Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development revealed this after a post-disaster assessment of the 2022 flooding report in Abuja on Friday. Present in the report, the Humanitarian Minister, Sadiya Farouk, said the objective of the Global Rapid Damage Estimation Note developed by the World Bank's Disaster Resilience Analytics and Solutions team was to assess the economic impact of the June to November 2022 floods across the country. She said the grid assessment gave an overview of the nature of the flood disaster and its impact across Nigeria, as well as sectoral and state-by-state effects critical for planning. Farouk further explained that the number of persons affected rose above 4.9 million as of November 25, 2022, with significant damage to infrastructure, including roads, irrigation and river, as well as electricity projects, with around $1.23 billion in damage expected. And finally, in stocks, the total turnover of 756.769 million units of shares worth 13.653 billion naira in 18,248 deals was traded this week by investors on the floor of the exchange. The financial services industry, measured by volume, led the activity chart, followed by the ICT and the conglomerates industries. The all-share index and market capitalization appreciated by 0.12% to close the week at 52,657.88 points and 28.681 trillion naira respectively. 44 equities appreciated in price during the week, 29 depreciating, while 84 remained unchanged. And that's it on Business News. I am Chiamaka Mwafo.
Now, away from Nigeria, an armed group in Mali that signed a major peace deal in 2015 says this week it was pulling out of efforts to draft a new constitution. The new constitution is a key part of a peace and reconciliation process designed to return the country from military to civilian rule by March 2024. The coordination of Azawad movement, a predominantly Tuareg alliance that fought the state for years before signing the peace deal in Algiers in 2015, blames the ruling military junta for foot dragging. The decision to go further and boycott the work of rewriting the constitution came just hours after Foreign Minister Abdoulaye Diop accused the armed groups of hampering efforts to put the peace process in place. Under international pressure, the current military government has agreed to allow a return to civilian rule in March 2024. A 13-year-old Palestinian boy was the assailant in a shooting that wounded two people, a father and son, in East Jerusalem on Saturday, Israeli police said. The attack occurred hours after a Palestinian gunman killed 7 outside a synagogue in one of the deadliest of such attacks in years. Police said that the suspect was neutralized following the latest gun attack in the Silwan neighborhood just outside Jerusalem's Old Walled City. Israel's Magen David Adom Emergency Response Service identified the victims as 2 men aged 47 and 23, both within gunshot wounds to their upper body, but did not identify those involved. Police had earlier announced 42 arrests in connection with the Friday synagogue attack. The mass shooting unfolded as a 21-year-old resident of Israeli-annexed East Jerusalem drove up to the synagogue in the Neve Yaakov neighborhood and opened fire during the Jewish Sabbath. And in sports news, Rwandan authorities on Saturday said that they had arrested 6 people for allegedly hurling insults at a woman who made history as one of the first female referees chosen for the Men's World Cup. Offensive slurs were repeatedly chanted at Salima Mokansanga by fans from Kiyovu Football Club as she refereed their 0-0 draw against Gasogi United on January 20 in Nyamata, south of Kigali. Rwanda's Football Federation this week launched an investigation into the matter, vowing to name and shame those responsible. Under Rwanda's penal code, public insults carry a penalty of 2 to 6 months in jail and a fine ranging from $500 to $3,000. Mokansanga was among 3 women in the list of 36 referees selected by FIFA to referee in the World Cup in Qatar in 2022. The 34-year-old, who officiated at the 2019 FIFA Women's World Cup in France, made history last year by becoming the first woman to referee at the Africa Cup of Nations. Now, before we go, here is a kicker. From cultivating their sporting muscle to reaping the full benefits of extended branding for tourism and business, more African countries are partnering with European football clubs. Malawi is the latest to sign a partnership deal. And take a look at that.
This is a great opportunity for Club Deportivo Leganés to reach out into Africa to develop talent and to develop relationships and to continue to internationalize the brand of Leganés.
With our partnership with Leganés Club, it's going to help us because it's in the plan that at least they should develop a sports complex where we can bring in young talents, where they can be trained, equipped, and then they should be able to be exposed even into international soccer. So that would help us to a great deal.
It's an honor for Malawi to be working with Club Deportivo Leganés. The history of Leganés is a fantastic history. You're looking at 95 years of the club existing. And I think if you look at football itself, the Spanish league is heavily regarded across the globe. And this is a great opportunity for Malawi.
We're looking forward to spending time in Malawi, looking for and developing young athletes that can someday play on the first team here in Leganés.
And that wraps up the news hour for tonight. You can watch more via all our social media platforms and also watch us on live stream on YouTube. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this